The Tempest by William Shakespeare. A storm strikes a ship carrying Alonso, Ferdinand, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo, Stefano, and Trinculo, who are on their way to Italy after coming from the wedding of Alonso's daughter Clarabelle to the Prince of Tunis in Africa. The royal party and the other mariners, with the exception of the unflappable boatswain, begin to fear for their lives. Lightning cracks, and the mariners cry that the ship has been hit. Everyone prepares to sink. The next scene begins much more quietly. Miranda and Prospero stand on the shore of their island, looking out to sea at the recent shipwreck. Miranda asks her father to do anything he can to help the poor souls in the ship.
If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them. The sky, it seems, would pour down stinking pitch, but that the sea, mounting to the welkin's cheek, dashes the fire out. Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer. A brave vessel, who had no doubt some noble creature in her, dashed all to pieces. Oh, the cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Had I been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth, or ere it should the good ship so have swallowed, and the fraughting souls within her.
Be collected, no more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there's no harm done.
Oh, woe the day.
I have done nothing, but in care of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, naught knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full poor cell, and thy no greater father.
More to know did never meddle with my thoughts.
'Tis time I should inform thee, father, let thy hand and pluck my magic garment from me. So, lie there, my art, wipe thou thine eyes, have comfort, the direful spectacle of the wreck, which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee. I have with such provision in mine art, so safely ordered that there is no soil, no, not so much perdition as an hair, be tied to any creature in the vessel, which thou heardest cry, which thou sawest sink. Sit down, for thou must know now, father.
You have often begun to tell me what I am, but stopped, and left me to a bootless inquisition, concluding, stay, not yet.
The hour has now come. The very minute bids thee ope thine ear. Obey and be attentive. Canst thou remember a time before we came unto this cell? I do not think thou canst, for then thou wast not out 3 years old.
Certainly, sir, I can.
By what? By any other house or person? Of anything the image, tell me, that hath kept with thy remembrance.
'Tis far off, and rather like a dream than an assurance that my remembrance warrants. Had I not 4 or 5 women once that tended me?
Thou hadst, and more, Miranda. But how is it that this lives in thy mind? What seest thou else in the dark, backward, and abysm of time? If thou rememberest aught ere thou cam'st here, how thou cam'st here thou mayest.
But that I do not.
12 years since, Miranda. 12 years since, thy father was the Duke of Milan and a prince of power.
Sir, are you not my father?
Thy mother was a piece of virtue, and she said thou wast my daughter, and thy father was Duke of Milan, and his only heir. A princess no worse issued.
Oh, the heavens! What foul play had we that came from thence? Oh, blessed was we did.
Both, my girl, by foul play, as thou sayest, were we heaved thence, but blessedly hoped hither.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think of the team that I have turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you, father.
My brother, and thy uncle, called Antonio. I pray thee mark thee that a brother should be so perfidious, he who next thyself. Of all the world I loved, and to him put the manage of my state, as at that time through all the signories it was the first, and Prospero the prime duke being so reputed in dignity, and for the liberal arts without a parallel, those being all my study, the government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being transported and wrapped in secret studies. Thy false uncle, dost thou attend me?
Sir, most heedfully.
Being once so perfected how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance and who to trash, for overtopping, new created the creatures that were mine, I say, or changed them, or else new formed them, having both the key of officer and office, set all hearts I state, to what tune pleased his ear, that now he was the ivy which had hid my princely trunk, and sucked my verdure out on't. Thou attendest not.
Oh, good sir, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. I thus neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness, and the bettering of my mind with that which but by being so retired, overprized or all popular rate in my false brother, awakened an evil nature, and my trust, like a good parent, did beget of him a falsehood in its contrary, as great as my trust was, which had indeed no limit, a confidence sans bound. He, being thus lauded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but what my power might else exact, like one who, having minted truth by telling of it, made such a sinner of his memory. To credit his own lie, he did believe he was indeed the Duke, out of substitution, and executing the outward face of royalty, with all prerogative, hence his ambition growing. Dost thou hear?
Your tale, sir, would cure deafness.
To have no screen between this part he played, and him he played it for, he needs will be absolute Milan. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough, of temporal royalties. He thinks me now incapable, confederates, so dry he was for sway, with King of Naples, to give him annual tribute, do him homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom yet unbowed. Alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping.
Oh, the heavens!
Mark his condition. The event, then tell me, if this might be a brother.
I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons.
Now the condition. This King of Naples, being an enemy to me inveterate, hearkens my brother's suit, which was that he, in lieu of those premises, of homage and I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine out of the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honours on my brother. Whereon a treacherous army levied one midnight. Fated to the purpose did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and I, dead of darkness, the ministers for thy purpose hurried thence, me and thy crying self.
Alack, for pity. I, not remembering how I cried out then, will cry it over again. It is a hint that rings mine eyes to it.
Hear a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business which now's upon, without the which this story were most impertinent.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded. My tale provokes that question. Dear, they durst not. So dear the love my people bore me, nor set a mark so bloody on the business, but with colours fair painted their foul ends. In few they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a butt not rigged, nor tackle, sail, nor mast. The very rats instinctively have quitted. There they hoist us to cry to the sea, that roared to us to sigh to the winds, whose pity signing back again did us but loving wrong.
Alack, what trouble was I then to you?
Oh, cherubim, those was that did preserve me, that did a smile infused with a fortitude from heaven, when I have decked the sea with drops full salt. Under my burden groaned which ranged in me, an undergoing stomach to bear up against what should ensue.
How came we ashore?
By providence divine, some food we had and some fresh water, that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, who being then appointed master of this design, did give us with rich garments, linens, stuff, and necessaries, which since have steeded much, so of his gentleness. Knowing I love my books, he furnished me from mine own library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom.
Would I might but ever see that man.
Now I arise, sit still and hear the last of our sea sorrow. Here in this island we arrived, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profit than other princes can, that have more time for vainer hours, and tutors not so careful.
Heavens thank you for it. And now I pray you, sir, for still 'tis beating in my mind, your reason for raising this sea storm.
Know thus far forth, by accident most strange, bountiful fortune, now my dear lady hath mine enemies brought to this shore, and by my prescience I find my zenith doth depend on a most auspicious star, whose influence, if now I court not but omit by fortunes, will ever after droop. Here cease more questions, thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness, and give it way. I know thou canst not choose. Come away, servant, come! I am ready now. Approach my Ariel. Come.
After telling this story, Prospero charms Miranda to sleep and then calls forth his familiar spirit, Ariel, his chief magical agent. Prospero and Ariel's discussion reveals that Ariel brought the Tempest upon the ship and set fire to the mast. He then made sure that everyone got safely to the island, though they are now separated from each other into small groups.
All hail, great master, grave sir, hail. I come to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds, to thy strong bidding task, Ariel, and all his quality. To every article, I've boarded the king's ship, now on the beak, now in the waist, the deck, in every cabin I flamed amazement. Sometime I'll divide and burn in many places. On the topmast, the yards and bowsprit would I flame distinctly, then meet and join. Jove's lightnings, the precursors of the dreadful thunderclaps, more momentary and sight outrunning were not. The fire and cracks of sulphurous roaring, the most mighty Neptune seemed to besiege and make his bold waves tremble. Yeah, his dread trident shake. Not a soul but felt a fever of the mad and played some tricks of desperation. All but mariners plunged in the foaming brine and quit the vessel. Then all afire with me, the king's son Ferdinand, with hair up staring, then like reeds not hair, was the first man that leaped, cried, "Hell is empty and all the devils are here."
Ariel, who is a captive servant to Prospero, reminds his master that he has promised Ariel freedom a year early if he performs tasks such as these without complaint. Prospero chastises Ariel for protesting and reminds him of the horrible fate from which he was rescued. Before Prospero came to the island, a witch named Sycorax imprisoned Ariel in a tree. Sycorax died, leaving Ariel trapped until Prospero arrived and freed him. After Ariel assures Prospero that he knows his place, Prospero orders Ariel to take the shape of a sea nymph and make himself invisible to all but Prospero. Miranda awakens from her sleep, and she and Prospero go to visit Caliban, Prospero's servant and the son of the dead Sycorax. Caliban curses Prospero, and Prospero and Miranda berate him for being ungrateful for what they have given and taught him.
As wicked Jew as ever my mother brushed with raven's feather from unwholesome fen, drop on you both, a southwest blow on ye, and blister you all over. I must eat my dinner. This island's mine, by Sycorax my mother, which thou takest from me when thou camest first, thou strokest me and made much of me, wouldst give me water with berries in it, and teach me how to name the bigger light and how the less, that burn by day and night, and then I loved thee, and showed thee all the qualities over the isle, the fresh springs, brine pits, barren place, and fertile. Cursed be I that did so. All the charms of Sycorax, toads, beetles, bats, light on you. For I am all the subjects that you have, which first was mine own king, and here you stay me in this hard rock, whiles you do keep me from the rest of the island.
Prospero sends Caliban to fetch firewood. Ariel, invisible, enters playing music and leading in the awed Ferdinand.
Come unto these yellow sands and then take hands. Curtsied when you have and kissed the wild waves whist. Footed featly here and there, and sweet spreads the burthen bear. Hark, hark, the watchdogs bark.
Miranda and Ferdinand are immediately smitten with each other. He is the only man Miranda has ever seen, besides Caliban and her father. Prospero is happy to see that his plan for his daughter's future marriage is working, but decides that he must upset things temporarily in order to prevent their relationship from developing too quickly.
Full fathom 5, thy father lies, of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes, nothing of him that doth fade. But doth suffer us he change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Hark, now I hear them. Ding dong bell.
He accuses Ferdinand of merely pretending to be the Prince of Naples and threatens him with imprisonment. When Ferdinand draws his sword, Prospero charms him and leads him off to prison, ignoring Miranda's cries for mercy. He then sends Ariel on another mysterious mission.
What is it? A spirit? Lord, how it looks about. Believe me, sir, it carries a brave form, but 'tis a spirit. I might call him a thing divine, for nothing natural I ever saw so noble.
On another part of the island, Alonso, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo, and other miscellaneous lords give thanks for their safety, but worry about the fate of Ferdinand. Alonso says that he wishes he never had married his daughter to the Prince of Tunis, because if he had not made this journey, his son would still be alive. Gonzalo tries to maintain high spirits by discussing the beauty of the island, but his remarks are undercut by the sarcastic sourness of Antonio and Sebastian. Ariel appears invisible and plays music that puts all but Sebastian and Antonio to sleep. These two then begin to discuss the possible advantages of killing their sleeping companions. Antonio persuades Sebastian that the latter will become ruler of Naples if they kill Alonso. Claribel, who would be the next heir if Ferdinand were indeed dead, is too far away to be able to claim her right. Sebastian is convinced, and the two are about to stab the sleeping men when Ariel causes Gonzalo to wake with a shout. Ah! Everyone wakes up, and Antonio and Sebastian concoct a ridiculous story about having drawn their swords to protect the king from lions. Ariel goes back to Prospero, while Alonso and his party continue to search for Ferdinand.
On an impromptu TV near you, The Tempest, Part 2.
All the infections that the sun sucks up from bogs, fens, flats, on Prosper fall and make him by inch meal a disease. His spirits hear me, and yet I needs must curse, but they'll no pinch. Fright me with urchin shows, pitch me in the mire, nor lead me like a firebrand in the dark. Out of my way unless he bid them, but for every trifle are they set upon me, sometimes like apes that mow and shatter at me, and after bite me, then like hedgehogs which lie tumbling in my barefoot way, and mount their pricks at my footfall. Sometime am I all wound with adders, who with cloven tongues do hiss me into madness.
Caliban, meanwhile, is hauling wood for Prospero when he sees Trinculo and thinks he is a spirit sent by Prospero to torment him. He lies down and hides under his cloak. A storm is brewing, and Trinculo, curious about but undeterred by Caliban's strange appearance and smell, crawls under the cloak with him. Stefano, drunk and singing, comes along and stumbles upon the bizarre spectacle of Caliban and Trinculo huddled under the cloak.
I shall no more to see, here shall I die ashore. It's a very scurvy tune to sing at a man's funeral. Well, here's my comfort. The master, the swabber, the boatswain, and I, the gunner, and his mate. Love Moll, Megan, Mary Ann, and Marguerite, but none of us cared for Kate. For she had a tongue with a tang, would cry to a sailor, go hang. She loved not the savour of tar nor of pit, yet a tailor might scratch her where she did it. Then to sea, boys, I let her go hang. This is a scurvy tune too, but here's my comfort.
Caliban, hearing the singing, cries out that he will work faster so long as the spirits leave him alone. Stefano decides that this monster requires liquor and attempts to get Caliban to drink. Trinculo recognizes his friend Stefano and calls out to him. Soon the three are sitting up together and drinking. Caliban quickly becomes an enthusiastic drinker and begins to sing.
Farewell, master, farewell, farewell. No more dams I'll make for fish, nor fetching firing at requiring, nor scrape trenchering, nor wash dish. Ban, Caliban has a new master, get a new man. Freedom, high day, freedom, high day, freedom.
Prospero puts Ferdinand to work hauling wood. Ferdinand finds his labour pleasant because it is for Miranda's sake. Miranda, thinking that her father is asleep, tells Ferdinand to take a break. The two flirt with one another. Miranda proposes marriage and Ferdinand accepts. Prospero has been on stage most of the time, unseen, and he is pleased with this development. Stefano, Trinculo, and Caliban are now drunk and raucous and are made all the more so by Ariel, who comes to them invisibly and provokes them to fight with one another by impersonating their voices and taunting them. Caliban grows more and more fervent in his boast that he knows how to kill Prospero. He even tells Stefano that he can bring him to where Prospero is sleeping.
What a pied ninny's this, those scurvy patch. I do beseech thy greatness, give him blows, and take his bottle from him. When that's gone, he shall drink naught but brine, for I'll not show him where the quick threshers are.
He proposes that they kill Prospero, taking his daughter, and set Stefano up as king of the island. Stefano thinks this is a good plan, and the three prepare to set off to find Prospero. They are distracted, however, by the sound of music that Ariel plays on his flute and tabor drum, and they decide to follow this music before executing their plot. Alonso, Gonzalo, Sebastian, and Antonio grow weary from traveling and pause to rest. Antonio and Sebastian secretly plot to take advantage of Alonso and Gonzalo's exhaustion, deciding to kill them in the evening. Prospero, probably on the balcony of the stage and invisible to the men, causes a banquet to be set out by strangely shaped spirits. As the men prepared to eat, Ariel appears like a harpy and causes the banquet to vanish.
You are three men of sin, whom destiny that hath to instrument this lower world, and what it isn't, the never-surveyed sea hath caused to belch up you, and on this island, where man doth not inhabit, you, amongst men being most unfit to live, I have made you mad, and even with such like valor men hang and drown. Their proper selves, you fools, and I, my fellows, are ministers of fate, the elements of whom your swords are tempered, may as well wound the loud winds, or with being mocked and stabbed, kill the still closing waters, as diminished wonder that in my plume, my fellow ministers, alike invulnerable. If you could hurt, your swords are now too massy for your strength, and will not be unlifted. But remember, for that's my business to you, that you three from Milan did supplant good Prospero, exposed unto the sea which hath requited him and his innocent child, for which foul deed the powers delaying, not forgetting, have incensed the seas and shores, yea, all the creatures against your peace. Thee of thy son, Alonso, they have bereft, and do pronounce by me lingering perdition, worse than any death can be at once, shall step by step attend you, and your ways, whose wraths to guard you from, which he, in this most desolate isle, else falls upon your heads, is nothing but heart sorrow, and a clear life ensuing.
He then accuses the men of supplanting Prospero and says that it was for this sin that Alfonso's son Ferdinand has been taken. He vanishes, leaving Alonso feeling vexed and guilty. Prospero now softens towards Ferdinand and welcomes him into his family as the soon-to-be husband of Miranda. He sternly reminds Ferdinand, however, that Miranda's virgin knot is not to be broken until the wedding has been officially solemnized. Prospero then asks Ariel to call forth some spirits to perform a mask for Ferdinand and Miranda. The spirits assume the shapes of Ceres, Juno, and Iris, and perform a short mask celebrating the rites of marriage and the bounty of the earth.
Most bounteous lady, thy rich leaves of wheat, rye, barley, vetches, oats, and peas, thy turvy mountains where live nibbling sheep and flat meads that with stover, them to keep thy banks with peond and twilled brims, with spongy April at thy bay trims, to make cold nymphs chaste crowns, and thy broom hooves, who shadow the dismissed bachelor love, being lass-lorn the pole-clipped vineyard, and thy sea-mad, sterile and rocky hard, where thou myself dost err, the queen of the sky, whose watery arch and messenger am I, bids thee leave these, and with her sovereign grace, here on this grass plot, in this very place, to come and sport her peacocks fly amain. Approach, rich Ceres, here to entertain. Hail, many-coloured messenger, that never dost disobey the wife of Jupiter, who with thy saffron wings upon my flowers diffusest honey drops, refreshing showers, and with each end of thy blue bow dost crown my bosky acres, and my unshoed gown, rich scarf to my proud earth. Why hath thy queen summoned me hither to the short grass green? A contract of true love to celebrate, and some donation freely to estate on the blessed lovers. Tell me, heavenly bow, if Venus or her son, as thou dost now, do now attend the queen, since they did plot the means that dusky dis my daughter got. Her and her blind boy's scandaled company I have forsworn. Of her society be not afraid, I met her deity, cutting the clouds towards Paphos, and her son, dove drawn with her. Here thought they to have done some wanton charm upon this man and maid, whose vows are that no bed right shall be paid, till Hymen's torch be lighted, but in vain. Mars' hot minion is returned again, her waspish head son has broke his arrows, swear he will shoot no more, but play with sparrows, and be a boy right out. Highest queen of state, great Juno comes, I know her by her gait. How does my bounteous sister go with me, to bless this twain, that they may by prosperous be, and honoured in their issue? On as rich as marriage blessing, long continuous and increasing, holy joys be still upon you. Juno sings her blessings on you. Thrice increased, thrice and plenty, boughs and garlands never empty, vines with clustering, bunches growing, plants with goodly budding bowing, big to good at farthest, in the very end of harvest. Scarcely anyone shall shun you, Ceres' blessing so with onion. You nymphs called maids of the wandering brooks, with your sedge crowns and ever harmless looks, leave your crisp channels, and on this green land answer your summons Juno does command. Come, temperate nymphs, and help to celebrate a contract of true love, be not too late. You sunburned sicklemen of August weary, come hither from the furrow and be merry. Make holiday your rye straw hats put on, and these fresh nymphs encounter every one in country footing.
Reapers and nymphs join together in a graceful dance, towards the end whereof Prospero starts suddenly and speaks.
I had forgot that foul conspiracy of the beast Caliban and his confederates against my life. The minute of their plot is almost come. Well done. Avoid no more. You do look, my son, in a moved sort, as if you were dismayed. Be cheerful, sir. Our revels now are ended. These, our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air, and like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherit, shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Sir, I am vexed. Bear with my weakness, my old brain is troubled. Be not disturbed with my infirmity. If you be pleased, retire into my cell, and there repose. A turn or two I'll walk, to still my beating mind.
Prospero sends the spirits away and asks Ariel about Trinculo, Stefano, and Caliban. Ariel tells his master of the three men's drunken plans. He also tells how he led the men with his music through prickly grass and briars, and finally into a filthy pond near Prospero's cell. Ariel and Prospero then set a trap by hanging beautiful clothing in Prospero's cell. Stefano, Trinculo, and Caliban enter looking for Prospero, and finding the beautiful clothing decide to steal it. They are immediately set upon by a pack of spirits in the shape of dogs and hounds, driven on by Prospero and Ariel. Prospero uses Ariel to bring Alonso and the others before him. He then sends Ariel to bring the boatswain and the mariners from where they sleep on the wrecked ship. Prospero confronts Alonso, Antonio, and Sebastian with their treachery, but tells them that he forgives them.
Ye elves of hills, brooks, standing lakes, and groves, and ye that on the sands with printless foot do chase the ebbing Neptune, and do fly him when he comes back. You demi-puppets that by moonshine do the green sour ringlets make, whereof the ewe not bites, and you whose pastime is to make midnight mushrooms, that rejoice to hear the solemn curfew, by whose aid, weak ministers though ye be, I have bedimmed the noontide sun, called forth the mutinous winds, and twixt the green sea and the azured vault, set roaring roar to the dread rattling thunder, have I given fire and rift Jove's stout oak with his own bolt. The strong-based promontory have I made shake, and by the spurs plucked up the pine and cedar, graves at my command, have waked their sleepers, opened and let them forth by my so potent art. But this rough magic I here abjure, and when I have required some heavenly music, which even now I do, to work mine end upon their senses, that this airy charm is for, I'll break my staff, bury it certain fathoms in the earth, and deeper than did ever plummet sound, I'll drown my book.
Alonso tells him of having lost Ferdinand in the Tempest, and Prospero says that he recently lost his own daughter. Clarifying his meaning, he draws aside a curtain to reveal Ferdinand and Miranda playing chess. Alonso and his companions are amazed by the miracle of Ferdinand's survival, and Miranda is stunned by the sight of people unlike any she has seen before. Ferdinand tells his father about his marriage. Ariel returns with the boatswain and mariners. The boatswain tells a story of having been awakened from a sleep that had apparently lasted since the Tempest. At Prospero's bidding, Ariel releases Caliban, Trinculo, and Stefano, who then enter wearing their stolen clothing. Prospero and Alonso command them to return it and to clean up Prospero's cell. Prospero invites Alonso and the others to stay for the night so that he can tell them the tale of his life in the past 12 years. After this, the group plans to return to Italy. Prospero, restored to his dukedom, will retire to Milan. Prospero gives Ariel one final task: to make sure the seas are calm for the return voyage before setting him free. Finally, Prospero delivers an epilogue to the audience.
Now my charms are all overthrown, and what strength I have's mine own, which is most faint. Now 'tis true, I must be here confined by you, or sent to Naples let me not, since I have my dukedom got. And pardon the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell, but release me from my bands with the help of your good hands. Gentle breeze of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please, now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all faults, as you from crimes would pardoned be. Let your indulgence set me free.
And set him free by applauding. The end.